Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Up and downs of the last year. Vent. On the positive side, my wife is a fantastic cook and I do care for her a great deal. On the downside, she announced she feels we should go our own way a few weeks ago, and the reason she isn't employed in the last year or two is her fear it might look worse if we divorce. She's been to see a therapist once and a divorce attorney last year. I've been married a long time and I think I may be noticing traits I might not have noticed in the past, but just overlooked for 20 years. I don't think I noticed faults because I was in love. I suppose this post is meant to partly discuss the way marriages can sometimes deteriorate into no communication, but I also know the traits I'm seeing now have always been present. I suspect I'm beginning to open my eyes and either understand my wife a little more. It's a shame this wisdom is likely coming at the end of a marriage, not long before we started to deteriorate. The only advice I would give you all is to always see a marriage as something to be maintained. Never assume you know what your spouse is feeling, and love can create blind spots. Not counting or seeing flaws can be good, but missing cues, not so good. While I was a good and attentive husband, I think, along with glossing over my wife's faults, I also missed seeing cues to a failing relationship. We may make it and I'm still hopeful, but there are a lot of things I can't unhear, and regaining that feeling I want to plan for the future is proving difficult. Do you want to be divorced? Why does she want one? She saw a therapist once. One visit is not a treatment. It probably isn't even enough time for an assessment. Maybe she doesn't know what she wants. Why aren't you two in MC? It's cheaper and far less painful than divorce. The thing I find most troubling is that she's not working on purpose. She's been mentally preparing for a divorce for a while. You need to prepare yourself mentally and get your ducks in a row. You could try marriage counseling to figure out where she's coming from and why. Wife is deciding whether to move on without me. I'm 47M and wife is 44F. How long should I try to fix our relationship before moving on, myself? Let me begin by explaining how this began. When we had children, the plan was for my wife to begin a new career when they reached school age. She was a professional and we both made and saved significant money. Before the time came, she moved a mother close to our home to care for her, but mom was essentially an addict and ended up delaying any progress toward career, job, being a mother or anything for years. Her mom passed away a few years ago and the kids are old enough, they both have jobs. One is in college and it's time for her to restart her life. Instead of restarting her life, she is now telling me how unhappy she is with her life, slow progress, and has no idea what she wants. She had an emotional affair, I guess it's called, and has been making efforts to move away from having me in her life. She says she still loves me, but also tells me she thinks we need to go our own way. It's sad, because we go from that to weeks of happy, then she'll tell me something like that again. On paper, it looks like we should just end things, but I don't want to give up if we have hope, which seems to be what we have on and off. The issue I have is twofold. I don't want to give up if we have hope of repairing our relationship, but I also don't want to continue to work and convince her to stay if it is no longer good for both of us. I genuinely am conflicted. I still love my wife and children. No physical affairs, but there is the online issue with her. There is more to the story, including her girlfriend going through a divorce who likely tries to split us apart, but my wife is also pulling away through non-overlapping activities or friendships. Almost every single thing we used to share, she no longer participates in together. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I wait? Should I try something I haven't considered, and at what point do I call it quits? I am just tired and worn down. This has been going on for the last few years. Asset protection tips. Attorney choices. Getting started. Any great wish I'd known tips for choosing an attorney or going through this process, once it appears inevitable? I did a lot of research in my divorce. Tips I used. I made sure to have evidence of everything. Recorded documents, tax returns, etc. I used her DUI conviction against her. That got me 50-50 custody. I never put her name on the house deed or mortgage. I kept my house and she only got 50% of the mortgage buy down, because marital funds were used to buy down the mortgage, instead of 50% of the equity she wanted. I made sure I had a copy of her previous year's W-2 to present as evidence to court, showing she could work, she was just choosing not to. That got me $0 alimony. I made sure to not commingle funds I received into shared bank accounts. That made sure she couldn't get her hands on my safety deposit box or anything else. Prenup here, no minor children, never commingled and no joint assets or credit at all. She doesn't work, but the prenup spells out no alimony. Work, BTW, she stopped over objections, repeatedly refused school or any plan to go back. Attorney tips, some have higher billing rates than others. I chose one that was relatively newer in her career versus a more senior attorney with a higher rate. Asset protection, some schemes I've heard about are greater than before the actual separation. One spouse will either repeatedly purchase gift cards or get cash out while paying for groceries. On the credit card or bank statement it just has the name of the grocery, Kroger, so the spouse can just say they are getting groceries for the household. Greater than. Along those same lines, I would look for an increase in purchases before the separation. They may be stockpiling household items before their planned move out. Greater than. Review your bank statements for the last couple years to look for anything suspicious. Hey, I posted a few months ago about cash back when grocery shopping to try and tuck money away, smiley face. One of the things I wish I knew to ask before was what if I had signed legal documents saying X needs to get things from house this date/time, X is responsible for quit deed claim, etc. My ex never showed up to get his stuff and wasn't caring for the deed. I had to go back and use attorney again to resolve these things. If I had something that said if X doesn't pick up items on said date, I can donate to charity. If the X doesn't care for the deed, he needs to pay any additional attorney fees incurred. I've seen that as well. Worst is if a judge doesn't spell out dates, misvalues a property or allows one spouse to remain, but says to sell. No incentive to sell. Wife's divorced friend added to our problems. Vent/rant/FML. I suppose this is a bit of a poll, but how common is a best friend divorcing or divorced, adding fuel to the fire in your divorce? I lost count of the times this one friend of my wife's would spend time with her and we would end up with a bad day/s afterward. Toxic friend. Would we be in trouble anyway? Just reflecting on the things bringing us to this point. Pew statistics on increased rate of divorce. Pew Research link. Here there are a lot of stories about unhappy single friends looking for someone to be single with them. My situation was a little different. My ex was abusive. He found a way to blame me every time he was unhappy. He was also very dishonest. When we were in couples therapy, he would lie or wildly exaggerate about me with me sitting right next to him. So, I have a feeling that he was also pretty dishonest about us with his main friend who he talked to about me. This friend, himself very selfish in his own relationship, used to get very worked up and tell my ex how upset he was at my ex's upset. It got to the point of the friend calling me up angry that I had accused my ex of abuse and advising me of all the things I was doing wrong as a wife and mom, that were making my ex so angry and unhappy. I know that my ex is the kind of person who only hears what he wants to hear, does not think critically, and manages to find people who will just validate his warped and dishonest worldview. He seems to create an echo chamber with others also willing to participate in an echo chamber. I think you'd be in trouble anyway if you're trying to make it work with someone with that kind of interpersonal style, lacking critical thinking, easily influenced, placing the blame outside. Unfortunately, there are a lot of therapists who feed this kind of thing, too. I feel compelled to add, though it may not be relevant here, since separating a year ago, I would not say that I am feeling happy, but my mental health is certainly much better than when I lived with him. Also, I look about 5 years younger, and I have maintained my healthy weight. Meanwhile, my ex, who excels at finding excuses to tell me that he's much happier now and his new relationship is much better than ours was, almost always looks unhappy when I see him to exchange the kids. He looks about 5 years older, and has gained about 25 pounds. He always accused me of standing in the way of his happiness. I guess some other evil person or persons are standing in his way now, and even worse, causing the accelerated aging and weight gain? I guess I'm saying that the echo chamber method of evaluating one's life maybe does not work out so well in the end. Edit, this seems relevant too, but it's not what Op is asking. Some insightful person somewhere in this forum said that when people divorce to look for an upgrade, they end up with something that may look like an upgrade at first, but always turns out to be a downgrade. You just aren't going to find happiness by feeling entitled and blaming other people for your unhappiness. Thank you for sharing. Glad you have found peace. Some insightful person somewhere in this forum said that when people divorce to look for an upgrade, they end up with something that may look like an upgrade at first, but always turns out to be a downgrade. You just aren't going to find happiness by feeling entitled and blaming other people for your unhappiness. Also really appreciate this. Best life, and it sounds like you're very happy. The echo chamber is strong in my wife's friend. I suspect my life would be much happier without the drama of the last 2 years, continuing. Thanks for the thoughts. I agree with your thoughts on therapists and some tending to just reinforce whatever a client says. Divorce is a well-studied network effect, meaning the closer the social connections, the more likely the people are to experience divorce. Obesity and suicide also have network effects. Thanks. I actually found many articles on network effect of divorce. 75% increase. So, chance goes up for a prior marriage, chance goes up if you don't like a best friend, and chance goes way up for friend having a divorce. No marriage again for me, man face palming. Emotional affairs and trying to understand where this began. Progress. One of the differences between a platonic friendship and an emotional affair is that an emotional affair is kept secret. This particular statement rang very true to me. At some point, my wife began talking with a male friend. I can see the same pattern of platonic moving toward the same pattern with several other male friends now. I don't see us surviving and see her repeating the same patterns. Secrecy and hiding these friendships is the main warning sign I missed and why I blamed myself. In reality, she has probably been creating distance with this kind of friendship even now. I don't know whether to call this an update or simply say I found some truth in the thoughts on emotional affairs. My spouse is repeating the pattern and really nothing has changed. This is one of those days I don't see us reconciling and understand I may not ever get over the 1 to 2 years of this behavior and the repeated pattern. Actually found recent messages to a guy my wife wants to hook up with. Confront her or be sure she has a job, looking now, before filing? We have been having issues, but I recently took a look at her unlocked computer. I'm disappointed and believe she's been manipulating me for a while. No, not mad, just thinking of the best way to end this marriage. If she's employed, it is more favorable for me. Definitely wait until she's employed. It could be big cash. You can start the ball rolling, then drop the hammer when convenient. Meanwhile, document everything, protect your money and your health. Get an STD test now and repeat if necessary. Planning on that. Actually 4 different guys she appears to have been chatting with. 2 look like something may have happened. Actually not mad, Just want to be safe from disease and protect myself financially. I'm over that. I can say she really screwed up. I have an excellent prenuptial and plan to enforce it to the letter now. Document everything, do not let the cat out of the bag yet. Go out and open a bank account privately and begin the process of protecting your money and assets in a way that she will not see. Secure an apartment or house to live in anticipation of D-Day and drop the bomb when she is employed and all your ducks are in a row. I live in a no-fault state, but I'm biding my time. Prenup and already had an appointment with an estate planner. Step 1, totally out of the will. Never imagined this and she is really screwing up her life. My life will be good, but man, not the right way to leave a marriage. Well, the shit hit the fan tonight. Wife busted, called on it and told her I wanted her to leave. Vent/rant/FML. So, my wife has been having these online things going on for a while. Flirting, sexting, everything you really want to not to know about your wife. I have a prenup. I have access to one of her accounts. She messages a guy through Instagram. She just bought tickets to Vegas with a friend, screenshotted and saved, and the guy she's having an affair with. While I am pretty pissed, I'm also relieved in a way. Last year, I was planning to give her a substantial amount to just leave. She would have been comfortable and it was actually a number over anything she would have had without a prenup in the picture. All bets are off now and she has no idea. I have closure I guess and a ridiculously well-written prenup. I lost my wife, but I guess I didn't choose well. I know I'm pretty damaged at the moment. I realize she was lying to me for years and I really can't get past that. No way to fix it, no way to continue with the lies and cheating, no way back after trust is so damaged there isn't a way to repair. I will say I have zero respect for anyone interfering in a marriage. My wife was going through some serious personal issues and several people changed the course of her life. I still love her, even though I'm also disappointed and saddened. My tune changed when reading a text talking to a guy booking a room in the Tower Suite at a famous hotel in Vegas. My wife is a pretty terrible person and I'm incredibly thankful I still have an original prenup. I still can't get over the perfect wife face she shows me, and 10 minutes later, she was flirting with a guy online or booking a room in Vegas. Holy shit, incredibly messed up. Feel free to tell me your story is worse. I'm up at 2 a.m. thinking this has to be the weirdest and worst night of my life. You have a prenup and no kids? I'm jealous. Sounds exactly like the shit I found my wife doing, except it was a married guy in the same town and some co-workers. You'll get over the negative feelings pretty soon. Next up, she's going to start gaslighting you into making her cheat. You should have been nicer, you should have paid more attention, you should have blah blah blah. So much this. I'm almost impressed by cheaters' ability to make it your fault. Pretty close, man shrugging, she basically is angry we didn't move more quickly and feels she kept up her end, so began looking, since I wasn't giving her the things she wanted quickly enough. Essentially her view. 3 kids, youngest with spina bifida. Wife takes the kids to another city as agreed for a month, does not let me see them, reports me wrongly for sexual abuse of one of the kids. On account of that I cannot see the kids for 1.5 months. No video calls, no nothing. Nobody is telling me anything because the accusations were false and the police got that part immediately. However, the DA had to do their thing and in the end closed the case without court proceedings. Given that courts are slow in my country, there is still no ruling nor temporary measure after about a year. I see the kids when she thinks is fit, although we have the same rights. You are extremely lucky. Take a deep breath and move on. Work on yourself, but you probably already know that. Do not be with someone for the sake of not being alone or for the looks. Be with someone because spending time with them is pleasurable and not painful in any way. You win. Man, I am sorry. That's a rough one.